Well, it's nice to have you along with us for our webinar for this week for Measure. And we are focusing this week on drawing tools. Now, you may be wondering, well, why pick that as a topic? But we find quite often that individuals who perhaps have little time, they're very busy, as we all are, they take to Measure, perhaps self-taught to quite a degree, and they find a tool that does a job for them and they stick with that tool without experimenting. So what we'd like to do is just briefly look at some options for using the drawing tools that are available. But first of all, we're just going to remind ourselves of how we can use the keypad. But in conjunction, we're just going to take the right angle tool up in the draw section from the home tab, draw a line. Now remember, if we want to change the end of the line we want to draw from, we simply right click, and that enables us to take our line from, next line from this end. So now we're going to right click and go back again, and just going to finish off a simple L-shaped room. At this point here, if we hit the space bar, because we want to finish up at this point, and right angles are involved, if we hit the space bar at this point, it's going to plot the course up to that where we began, and then if one simple click with the left mouse, and there we go, we filled that room in. Having got that room in, what do we do if we want to edit, say, the dimensions on this wall here, which is 6.94 meters at the moment? Well, we would select that handle on that wall, bring up the keypad, and maybe we want to make that 8 meters. Punch in 8 meters there. But before we hit the tick, we need to make sure that the arrow is pointing at the right way. Do we want it to go north? Do we want to encroach in upon the dimensions of this wall, which is what will happen if we add here, or do we want to extend south? In this case, we do want to extend south, so we need to reverse this, and we can do that either by hitting the reverse line direction up here on the toolbar, or hitting the reverse tab on the keypad. So let's do that, and then hit the tick, and we've added what we needed to. How else can we use the keypad? Well, we can use it, say we want to draw a similar shaped room, and maybe we'll make it, say, 5 meters. We want to put a line east, put 5E in, hit the tick, and we get our first line. Then we want to go 5 meters south, 5S, hit the tick, get our second line. Now we're coming in west, we just want to go 2.5 meters, hit the tick. We want to go 2.5 meters north, hit the tick. 2.5 meters west again, hit the tick, and then to close off our room at this point, we just need to hit the put C in the keypad for close, hit the tick, and it's going to close that room off for us. So just a couple of reminders as to how we could use the keypad in that respect. If we're doing a really simple room, maybe it's just a straight square or rectangle, in this case we can just put in an equation basically into the keypad. So say we want a room that's 3 by 10 meters, we got 3 asterisks or times 10, hit enter or the tick, and there's our room. So the keypad can be useful depending on what it is we're trying to accomplish. But let's move our attention now to this plan we have here, and we're going to employ some of the other tools that are available to take off part of this plan. We're not going to do it all, we're just going to focus on the lounge, the family dining kitchen entry area. So firstly, looking at the lounge, let's go up to the drawer section. Once again in the home tab, we go into that tool there, we hit rectangle, and let's just draw in a rectangle here. And there we go. Now, of course, we have an angle across here, and if we want to put that angle in, we simply right-click with the room selected, go down to Insert Point, and we pop a point in on each side of that opening, escape the tool, we right-click the corner point, and this gives us the option now to delete it, which we do. So there we go, we have that room filled in using Insert Point. Very useful little tool there to make the most of the rectangle drawing tool. Now we're just going to go around this room using the right angle tool. Now we're going to start from this corner, and you see why it's important at times to choose where you start in order to be able to finish off using the space bar. So we go here, I'm just going to go around this wall. And we're just going to finish across there for the sake of this demonstration. Now at this point, because there's only right angle left, if we hit the space bar, it's going to plot that right through for us and save us drawing those two lines. So we do that, one left click with the mouse, and we've finished that room. Having done this, we look at that lounge and we say to ourselves, well, why on earth have I done that? Because that's open right through there. There's not going to be a transition. So what can we do about that? Well, in this case, we're going to select the lounge. We're going to go in and drag a bit of material across there. We don't worry too much about the shape that that's showing us. And while we have that room selected, we hit Control, select the bigger room. Now we're going to go to the Room tab, and we're going to select the Join tool here. We hit that, and now we've got what we really want, product that's going to run right through, because we're mainly dealing with carpet in here. So that leads us down to the kitchen and the entryway. Let's make a little bit of an adjustment here. How are we going to do the kitchen? Well, for this example, we're going to take the right angle tool, and we're going to draw a room over the top of it. And I'm going to start right down here, not worry too much, I'm outside the area we're going to need in the end. I'm going to draw a line up there, across there. Now at this point, I realise that there's probably going to be some carpet needing to run under that countertop. So I'm going to come in, probably to there, and at this point, once again, I'm going to employ the space bar trick, hit that, one left click, and we form that room. Just so we can avoid some confusion, I'm going to put the product that we want to have there eventually in, which is a Speedier plank. I'll put that in. And while that's selected, I'm going to select with my control down the bigger room area and go to Room again, and once again we're going to go into the Shape section and this time hit the punch out. So we do that, and you can tell straight away that it has worked successfully, but if you're ever in doubt, you can always just move that away to make sure that Yep, it did actually take that material out underneath. Now, having got to this stage, we can employ the hole tool, rectangle hole tool. Now, these hole tools have the hole plus the hole filled, and there's variations, of course, of shape, but they basically work the same manner. So we're just going to go for the rectangle hole here. I'm going to start right up here because we want to take area out for this bench and this one here. Because the top room's not selected, we can go up here where it's easy to look at things, and right out here to make sure we go past here so we don't get any slivers in that perhaps we don't cause us trouble later. And when we're satisfied, we can drop that in. And we'll put another one down here. Once again, running right over here, getting rid of that. Now we just move the wall up to where it needs to go. So that's catered for that. How about the entryway? Well, let's select the area where we want to go. And this time we're going to take the rectangle hole filled. So grab that, start out where you want to go, run it across like we did before. It's not going to affect the kitchen, it's not selected. Hit that, select the room, and let's put our product in. Perhaps the last thing we'll look at in here is maybe we want to readjust what's this family area. We decided we want a plank product up in here as well. So this time we go to the diagonal right angle hole filled. So we take that. First of all, we're going to select that room. And we want it, let's say about there. Establish our line. Hit the space bar, one left click on the mouse, select the room, let's put our product in just to finish it off. Let's try the Copenhagen, and we want the lay to be correct, so we want it laying against this wall on the outside, so we'll select that wall, and up here on the room tab we'll hit the lay alongside tool icon, and there we have it. So basically we've looked briefly at using the insert point function that we have by right-clicking when the room's active. That enabled us to get rid of that angle that we had originally, or to provide the angle we had originally across here in the lounge. And we've looked at how we can use the various variations of the hole tool. We can put in product, we can punch out rooms as well. So that's what we basically looked at so far. What about if we found ourselves facing this particular scenario? We've got a room of this shape and we're wanting to have two products in, and the demarcation is this curve. How are we going to deal with that? Well, first of all, we'll draw in the basic shape of the room, and once again we'll just use the rectangle tool and we'll insert a point, seeing we've been highlighting the value of that provision. Right click, insert a point, drop it there, and move that up. So there's our shape, the basic room shape. But how are we going to get this curve established for us? Well, with the room selected, we can go to the room tab, and under the shape section we can hit the split tool. Now the split tool is a little bit fussy in that it needs to be used with a little bit of thought. So we drop a point down the bottom, we get a line, but we need to make sure that the line is straight. You'll notice that it can be prone to zagging if you're not careful. So we'll get that straight. When it is straight, it looks pretty good. We just click, and now we've got our line. So what we're going to do is select the line, and in conjunction with the 5-point curve tool in the shape section, we're going to get that line. But the thing you need to remember when you're doing something like this, and when you've used that split tool, is to make sure you've got the right side selected, the right room. In this case, we don't. I don't really want this one on the left. I want this one on the right in order to accomplish what I want the easiest way. So I make sure that's selected. Now I go back and select the line we're going to work from. Go back up to the shape and make it curved. We're going to pick the 5-point curve. We're going to drop our first one in about there. And you probably will know, if you have some experience using this tool, that it takes a bit of practice. And we might think, well, I need to get this right in up here like this. I need to drop a point in there. But you can find that, in fact, if you don't worry about the fact that it's running out over, and you drop the next point in around further, it comes back and sorts itself out, which is not too bad there like that. Having done that, we've got this right-hand side selected. Hit Control, select the rest of the other portion of that room. Go to the, actually we don't have to go anywhere, we're right there. Up into the shape and hit the punch out again. Hit the punch out. We've got the carpet we want on that side. This side we want to have the plank. So let's put that in. So that's one way that we could achieve that curve. Now there's another way, and the other way involves quite an exciting tool that is basically hasn't been released to the public market yet. In fact, you would be first of the few people to have seen it in action, because I'm running a beta version here, and you'll notice that there's another tool up here that you won't have in your toolbar. And this is about to become available in the next month in the Measure update. And the tool is Polygon Extended. And you'll notice it says it's to create multiple line segments to form room boundaries to create multiple rooms at the same time. But before we show it on a plan, I'm going to show how we could actually use it to do this. So how it works, we take the tool, and you don't need to worry about starting at a corner. So I'm going to start it right out here. It's easy to line up. Take it through to there. Start a new line up here. Now, if you were just doing this room and there was no curve involved, there'd be a faster way of doing it than this on this particular shape room. But you'll see how it's useful for what we're doing. So I can actually now work my way around this curve if I wish to do it this way. And at this point, I go back up and I hit the tool icon, and it produces both those rooms. We wanted to have the carpet on the side. Let's put it in to keep it looking real. And there we go. So this tool is an exciting tool, and let's have a look at it and how it would be used on a plan. And even this plan doesn't really demonstrate its full potential. But you imagine if you're doing particularly a commercial job, and there's perhaps a hallway with lots of rooms that's similar size down each side, how very quickly they could be, the takeoff could be done using this tool. So let's just use it here. And we're going to draw a line through there. for the sake of this example, I'm just going to finish this room off down through here. Missed it. We've got everything covered. No, this one here. And that's everything. Once we've done that, and you imagine you've got multiple lines in a big plan, you can quickly whip through and you hit that icon again, and all of those are turned into rooms. So it is an exciting tool, and it's being refined even beyond when it becomes available first to the public, that you'll have access to soon. They're going to continue to refine it. So really that was all that we wanted to show you today in the way of using the drawing tool. Hopefully there's something there that's been useful to you. And I'm going to hand over now to Caden, who's going to deal with any questions that you might have at this point.
Hey everyone, thanks for that, Barry. So everybody should have a button probably on the right-hand side of their screen that will let them push through some questions. If anyone does anything we've gone over here, or maybe something you've thought of throughout the demonstration, then just fire that away into the question section, and we'll see what we can go over. So we'll just wait a moment or two to let you guys type them in if you have them. Okay, doesn't look like we're seeing any questions come in. So I think that might be all for today. But thank you everyone for attending. Barry, did you have any final comments?
Thank you, Caden. Just a reminder, everybody, that the next webinar, October the 29th, customising reporting and PDF outputs for Measure. And we look forward to your attendance for that. Thank you for attending today.